Yes, the Sahara is now a desert. However, it is wrong to think of the Sahara as a desert. Instead, think of the Sahara as a region. Sometimes this region is wet, lush, and green. Sometimes it is a desert. It's very interesting to study how the Earth wobbles, because this changing wobble is what causes the repeating climate cycle in Africa. The cycle repeats itself roughly every 20,000 years. Again, very roughly, this is what happens. The Sahara region is humid, wet, lush, and green for about 7,000 years. During these wet periods, Lake Chad refills, so do the other mega lakes if they can. Then a kind of climatic switch is flipped, and the Sahara region becomes a desert for about 12,000 years. This is not something that has just happened once, 12,000 years ago. This cycle has been repeating itself for about 3 million years. The Sahara Desert first formed about 3 million years ago. Scientists have proven this using core samples from the sediment off the west coast of Africa in the Atlantic. Every sandstorm that has blown over the Atlantic has left its mark. For a moment, let me mention a few details about the Sun. It's very interesting to study how the Sun goes through its various solar cycles. Most people mistakenly think the solar cycle is just 11 years long. Actually, it is not. It is about twice as long as most people think, roughly 23 years. Also, the Sun has a longer 1470-year solar cycle. This longer cycle is determined by how the planets align with the galactic center. Geologists have spotted this cycle. They have called these cycles Bond events and DO events. This cycle is determined by the length of each planet's orbit. The combination of all the planets' orbits cause the Sun to wobble in a predictable cycle. I could spend hours talking about this extremely interesting topic. In my opinion, there is another very important solar cycle. It depends on how long it takes for our solar system to orbit the Milky Way. This is a cycle that lasts for millions of years. Overall, these cycles are the main external influence that causes Earth's climate to vary through cycles over time. We can't stop these cycles. We can only adapt to them. My Lake Chad experiment describes one way we can adapt to these cycles. In my opinion, because the Sun's solar cycles determine Earth's climate cycles, we must understand how the Sun really works. Again, I have a plan for greening the Sahara. It starts by greening one area of the desert northwest of Lake Chad. My overall plan for this large experiment is complex. Many types of plants would be grown. Initially, most of the plants would be desert grasses, not crops. Many advanced techniques would be used to reestablish the desert soil's microorganisms and fertility. One extremely interesting topic that I wish I had time to explain now is called Terra Preta. Some people refer to this technique as fertilizing with biochar. If you have some time, please read about Terra Preta on your own. Not only is the Terra Preta technique perhaps the absolute best ancient technique for improving desert sands, for transforming arid desert sands into fertile soils, it is also perhaps the craftiest form of carbon sequestration. This is a big deal for changing our climate. Personally, I would like to see gigatons of plants grown in the Sahara. Then, personally, I would like to see a significant percentage of these plants burned in charcoal plants. Millions of tons of charcoal would be made. Then this carbon would be integrated into the sands of the Sahara, like a farmer applies fertilizer. Farmers use shallow disc fertilizers that would be really good for this type of fertilization. Again, the plan is complex. While it might seem obvious that having extra water in a hot desert is a good thing, there's something else that is not so obvious. If you grow a large area of green plants in the middle of a hot desert, then this can alter the wind patterns of the area. This will alter how much natural rain flows into the area. Let me start by showing you 3 wind patterns for Africa. In these graphics, you'll see the acronym ITZ. That stands for Intertropical Convergence Zone. In general, north of the line, the winds are moving southwest, and south of the line, the winds are moving northwest. It's more complicated, but I must limit this. This is the first wind pattern. This is Africa's drier winter pattern. In general, north of the line, everything is dry. As this line moves south, the Sahara marches south. Drought happens in places that are not used to it, and famines kill millions of people. This is the second wind pattern. This is Africa's wetter summer pattern. In general, north of the line, everything is dry. As this line moves north, the line of green vegetation moves north. There's food to eat and people can survive. In general, in recent decades, this wetter summer pattern has been weak. The rains have not moved this far north. We are going to help nature in this regard. This is the third wind pattern. This is the Sahara's wet, humid pattern. Again, don't think of the Sahara as a desert. Think of it as a region. Every 20 to 22,000 years, for roughly 7,000 of those years, the summer winds shift this far north. In general, the entire Sahara region becomes wet and green. As this line moves this far north, the line of green vegetation moves north. There is food to eat and animals thrive. The ancient mega lake basins refill. The desert turns to savanna and rainforest. In my opinion, we can help make the summer rains move further north by artificially greening the Lake Chad Basin. In the Lake Chad area, roughly speaking, the northeasterly winds blow during the winter, and the southwesterly winds blow during the summer. The key to this large experiment is to enhance the southwesterly winds that naturally arrive in the summer, because this will pull more humid air into the area from the Gulf of Guinea, enhancing those summer monsoon rains. At this time, roughly 2 times per year, this region of Africa now has 2 weak and relatively short spans of monsoon rains. These rains typically happen early and late in summer. Over many 7,000-year-long periods of history, going back millions of years, during a time when Mega Lake Chad refills, Africa's rainy monsoon period becomes one longer season of major monsoon rains, lasting at least all of the summer. Perhaps during the green Sahara periods, the summer monsoon rains start arriving early in the spring and last late into the fall. Over about the last 100 to 200 years, the monsoon rains simply have not been making it this far inland, at least not consistently. Lately, these 2 very weak periods of monsoon rains have not been making it as far north as the Lake Chad Basin. That is why the plant life in the Lake Chad Basin has turned into desert sands. That is why the area's vast savanna has died off. What will be really interesting to see is if this experiment might help to pull in more of the moisture-laden air from the Atlantic Ocean from the Gulf of Guinea. The goal of this experiment is to grow massive amounts of plants in a large area of the Sahara Desert. After a few years, a statistically significant increase in natural rainfall should be observed. If this experiment does its job, then the local climate's tipping point should flip and the rains should return to this area. A longer, stronger period of monsoon rains should develop. Then, if the Delia River starts flowing again, then that would be fantastic. That would really help make a difference. Lake Chad would start to refill. People from Niger could move into the experiment's area and start farming. Over time, Africa would change from a dry Sahara to a wet, green Sahara. The great African animals could start living in this area again. This would be especially beneficial for all of the endangered species. I don't know how you feel. For me, it would be exciting to watch Africa's great animals discovering these new grasslands, savannas, and rainforests. Let me work backwards for a moment. I have this vision of Africa's great animals discovering new grasslands, savannas, and rainforests. This was enabled because the desert oasification atmospheric water generators transferred water from the atmosphere to soil, plant life, and other water reservoirs. This was enabled by fusion energy. Fusion energy was enabled due to a new understanding of physics. It will remain to be seen if it truly is the Grand Unification of Physics. At this time, the key is it'll make fusion work. And of course, the real key is time. Because we now understand time, this is all possible. This and so much more.